This episode of the Pivot to Balance podcast is sponsored by Riverside.fm, the leading platform to record studio quality podcasts from anywhere. More than 70,000 other podcasts use Riverside, including myself, Gary Vee, Spotify, even the New York Times. What's amazing about Riverside is that when you're recording a podcast or remote interview, recording is independent of Wi-Fi stability, which is huge because content is recorded locally, which ensures reliable and uncompressed content quality. It is super intuitive and easy to use. Once your recording is done, you'll automatically be able to download separate audio and video tracks and edit your content with a few clicks. If you use social media, you also get magic clips from Riverside, which I love. So if you haven't tried Riverside yet, visit riverside.fm and use my code Akay15, which is AKAY15, to start recording studio quality sound and video and get 15% off a membership plan. Once again, it's riverside.fm. Use code AKAY15 to start recording today. Hey, before we dive into this week's episode, if you've been enjoying the show, I'd love your support. Take just 10 seconds to rate and review us on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback helps others discover the wisdom and inspiration that I share on the Pivot to Balance podcast. Let's build a community of balance seekers together. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to share the love. Now let's dive into the episode. Hello and welcome to the Pivot to Balance podcast. I'm your host, Akay, and I hope you're doing well. In a world that pulls us in a million different directions and with a billion distractions, finding balance can feel like an ambiguous quest. Join me on this podcast as I try to navigate life's twists and turns with mindfulness, purpose, and grace. In each episode, we will dive into topics like self-care, personal growth, mindset shifts by sharing practical insights, stories, and maybe even interviews. Get ready to pivot, to recalibrate, and find your balance. Follow the Pivot to Balance podcast, and I will see you on the other side. I know this is a very impromptu, not planned, not really weekly update kind of an episode, but I wanted to do this for this month because I think I always set monthly goals, monthly intentions that really helps me to look back and think, so this is what I wanted to do and this is what I ended up doing. Why? What changed? How could I have made this better and all of that? I usually like to tell a couple of my friends, this is my goal for the next couple of weeks. And I thought this would be fun to take you guys with me because I know you've never seen me setting monthly goals. And let me know, do you want me to do this episode every single month? Because I would love to do that. I wanted to take you through this process of me preparing for the new year. And I did this last year and it worked really well for me because I think when we start setting resolutions for New Year, we tend to put a lot of pressure on ourselves. And I think people also talk about their New Year resolutions and there's just too much pressure around it. So what I did last year was on December 1st, I told myself, hey, these are the couple of things that I'm going to focus on the next couple of months. I know that it's not going to last for an entire year, but I can give it a trial run. And then it came to me, why don't I use December as a trial period? And that's what I ended up doing, right? I gave myself weekly goals instead of giving myself we talked about this in the last episode as well. I do not like having 500 step routines. So what I did was I gave myself a weekly goal. It was much easier for me to achieve those goals. And that's what we're going to do in this episode. Let's break down each week with specific action and tips. Week 1. This week is all about mindful living. Start today. It's December 1st, right? I'm recording this on December 1st as well. It's raining outside, so if you hear any noise, I am very happy and I'm being very mindful. This week is all about understanding yourself. Pull yourself back every single time you're in a conversation. If you want to say something rude, if you want to say something that you know you're going to regret later, take a step back. Think about it. Observe how you perceive situations and observe what the situation actually is. Because I think there's a difference between how you look at a situation and what the situation actually is. This week, let's just focus on that. A couple of different tips I would give you is, tip 1 is start and end your day with a few minutes of mindfulness meditation. I am not someone that does a lot of meditation or breath work, but that's going to be my goal for the next week, starting today. The second thing is practice single tasking. Again, we've talked about this in the podcast. I don't like doing multitasking. I don't know how you feel about it, but maybe just this 1 week, we focus on one activity at a time without any distractions. Call that deep work hour, call that not multitasking, call that Pomodoro technique, whatever works for you. The third tip is create a mindful minute during transitions in your day. For example, let's say that you work and you have a meeting. Before going to a meeting, take a minute to yourself and just take some deep breaths. Or let's say you're going to eat, take a deep breath. Just a second, just a minute, whatever works for you. Just take a couple seconds or a couple minutes to just take some deep breaths. That's it. That's the goal for week 1. We're going to keep it very simple here. So meditate, practice single tasking, and create a mindful minute during transitions. Week 2, we're going to focus on physical well-being. We've talked about this before, right? The fact that your mind and your body is connected is true. We've all experienced that. I'm assuming we've all experienced that. So the first tip I would tell you is schedule regular exercise. And it doesn't have to be you lifting a lot of weights. Not that there's anything wrong with that. You have to lift weights. Go for like a 15-minute walk or do some stretches or do some sun salutations. Whatever works best for your schedule. This week, focus on moving your body. Tip 2 is plan balanced meals. Think about how you're eating. Are you being mindful? And I know that we all like to watch Netflix while eating. The second week, I'm going to focus on not watching TV when I'm eating, not really using my phone, just me and my food. Tip number 3 is prioritize quality sleep. So how about we go to bed at the same time and wake up at the same time for 1 week? That's for week number 2. Simple, right? So that is schedule regular exercise, plan balanced meals, and prioritize sleep quality. For week number 3, we're going to focus on connection and relationships. Let's talk about how having relationships with other people is important and how can you strengthen these valuable relationships that you have with other people. Because more often than not, with the hustle and bustle that we have in life, we forget to appreciate the people that are in our lives. And especially if you are someone that thinks that we're approaching holiday season, because I know that not everybody celebrates everything, but if you feel like this is a month where you get to meet a lot of your friends and family, let's look at 3 tips for that. Tip number 1 is schedule dedicated time for socializing, and it could be in person or virtually. Block off some time with your friends and family, talk to them, catch up, be connected with them. Tip number 2 is practice active listening in conversations, because that will help you deepen connections. More often than not, we like to just be heard. We don't want to hear the other person talking. The third week, just listening to people, just understand where they're coming from. What are you trying to say? Who are you? Try and understand that. Tip number 3 is express gratitude to someone who has impacted your life in a positive way. Just randomly text someone and tell them, hey, I appreciate you. You know, you've done so much for me. You've been there for me. Even if they've not been there for you, I think that's a very subjective way to say that as well, because some people think just checking up on you is being there for you. Some people think that flying out to see you or flying you out to some city or some place or taking you out for a cup of coffee is that's what's having an impact on your life. However it could be, I think that's a very subjective topic, but appreciate the people you think, man, you didn't have to do that for me, but you did that. I really appreciate you. Or just for even existing in your life, thank them. That's all for week 3. We're already at week 3. So schedule dedicated time for socializing, practice active listening in conversations, and express gratitude to someone. For week 4, the last week, we're going to reflect and we're going to set intentions. So we've gone through this whole process. We've tried implementing a couple of these good habits. Now let's go back and look at how that felt. What did you learn about yourself? What do you think you can take from that and move into the next new year? So the first thing I want you to do is journal about your achievements and challenges from the past year, not just this month, but from the entire year. What did you achieve? And how did you celebrate that? What were your challenges? And what was your reaction to that? And how did you feel about it? The second tip is set some time aside for intentional goal setting for the upcoming year. Set SMART goals. Now, what are SMART goals? Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So when you start to set these goals, be very specific. It cannot be, I'm going to work out this year. It has to be, hey, I'm going to work out this year 3 times a week, if that's achievable for you. If you think that, no, I cannot work 3 times a week, I can actually work out 7 times a week. That's not healthy, but sure. So what's your goal? What's your end goal? Are you trying to build some muscle? Are you trying to reduce fat? What's your goal? Why are you trying to do that? Make it relevant and time-bound, right? You're going to say, I'm going to continue doing this for 6 months. For the first 6 months, these are my goals. I wouldn't suggest that you set goals for an entire year. I suggest that you set goals for 8 months or 9 months. And then by the time you reach the halfway point, again, reflect. Look back on what you wanted to do. Have you done that? Great. If you've done that, I know you can do that. Amazing. How can we approach the next part of the goal? How can we enhance the goal that we already have? Tip number 3 is share your intentions with someone you trust for accountability and support. 100% suggest that you share it with the people that you know are going to help you stay accountable, are going to support you and not criticize you. Because I think more often than not, what happens is when we share our goals, there are ways for people to approach you, to check up and say, to hold you accountable, right? What most people end up doing is when their friend asks them to help them stay accountable, what they do is, hey, you said you're going to work out. Why didn't you do that today? I mean, that might sound right to some people. That might not sound right to some people. But I think it's best to have people that understand you, who've known you for quite some time. They know your rhythm. They understand you. They understand why you're setting this goal. And you talk to them about the SMART goal, right? You tell them, hey, this is what's realistic to me. This may seem stupid to you. This may seem too much to you. But this is what's realistic to me. And I want you to help me stay accountable. Give me a call or a text every night or morning and just be like, hey, I know you can do this today. Great going. If you want to tell them how to support you, most of the times we don't know how people want support from us. So if you can tell that to them, that will be very helpful. So we're going to journal. We're going to set time aside for intentional goal setting. And then we're going to share our intentions with someone else. So those are the 4 intentions that I have for you for this month. I'm going to work on them. If this doesn't resonate, feel free to add or remove any of these and replace it with the ones that you know is going to work for you for the next year. Remember, these small intentional actions can lead to amazing, significant changes. I really hope this month is going to be filled with everything that you want, literally anything that you've manifested, really anything that you want to happen. I really hope it happens to you this month. And I wish you guys a great December. Hibernate, take some rest, reflect, be nice to everyone, be kind to everyone. And I will see you in the next episode with that. Now go. Oh, before I say the dialogue that I always say, I switched from having morning coffee to having morning lemon water again. Let's go. And I'm so happy about that because it really makes me feel completely makes me a different person. I hope you can try that too. Let me know. Now go grab a cup of lemon water and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.